If you're anything like me, you love watching cooking shows, especially competition ones. I make sure I turn it into Master Chef every season. And the crazy thing is, I wouldn't even eat 98% of the things that I see them cook, whether I think they look good or not. It's the craft that interests me, the art of cooking. I respect chefs and culinary arts a great deal because I am a believer that food brings people together and they feed the world, that combine people. Seeing people eat food from other cultures around the world and getting to experience that brings a smile to my face. Marlon Bellamy, my dude, always hits me with the request that puts my spirits up. Thank you as always, bro. Today we are going to chat about Julie and Julia 2009, directed by Nora Ephron. I've seen this movie before, and I remember liking it well enough, but this watch hit me differently, and there are reasons for that. That I'll get into later. This movie stars Amy Adams, Stanley Tucci, Chris Messina, and the great Meryl Streep. It's about a young woman who gets inspired to start a blog cooking everything real-life chef Julia Childs put in her cookbook. Through this, she becomes increasingly inspired by Julia and uses her as inspiration to better her life. All while we simultaneously see Julia Childs becoming who she became and seeing how similar the two ladies' pasts really were. Right off the bat, this is just a feel-good time. A great piece of escapism that warms the heart and soul and makes you want to jump in the kitchen. Watching these two ladies show off their love for not only the people around them, but for themselves through culinary genius just puts a smile on your face. In this difficult and complicated world we live in, we need movies like this. We get to see both of these ladies learn and grow as their craft expands. Cooking is to be respected. It's an art form, but we also need food to live, so cooking nourishes the mind and the body. I personally don't mind cooking. I'm not great, but I'm definitely not the worst. When I was a kid, I got in trouble with my mom, and as a punishment, she made me cook dinner every night for a week. I learned so much in that week, and how much it takes to make certain things. I had to learn about temperature, seasoning, timing, and touch, learning to use what you have and how to improvise. This movie shows all of that. Watching Julia Childs, played by the great Meryl Streep, is something of beauty. Let's talk about the acting while we're here on this subject. Meryl Streep is often considered the best actress of all time, or at least of her generation. I may take Blanchett, Viola Davis, and Katharine Hepburn over her, but she is without a doubt in the conversation, and she proves that here yet again. She melts into this role, and Julia honestly comes off like the sweetest and one of the most joyous people to be around. I used to watch her cooking show during COVID, and although I personally didn't think much of her food looked that good to me, I respected her and loved her personality. I understand her legacy, and this movie just confirms that. Streep is a steam sealer. Honestly, I find her arc far more interesting than Julie's, played by Amy Adams. Adams is another powerhouse, even though I don't think she became great until a little after this movie. She plays that sweet and loving young woman who is very inspired by this woman. She becomes Julia, but with her own twist. All of the good things, all of the love, all of the passion. Adams understood the assignment and made us want to read her blog, made us want to try her food. I wanted to see her debone that duck. They both get wrapped up in their food and what they do for the world. They both have loving, supporting husbands, even if they both get a little annoyed from time to time. They both have human moments, and Stan Tucci and Chris Messina play their roles perfectly as the two loving husbands. At its core, this movie is more than about food. It's about love, and the support of the partners play a big role. Some could even say the men are taking a back seat. Sometimes that may need to happen in order to make the dream come true. The two relationships we see are human. They may even seem too perfect at times, but I can roll with that. Why? Because it's nice to see couples who are best friends. They love just being around each other, trying the food, just talking and drinking wine. Of course, there are bumps in the road for all involved, some fights, but ultimately, they do support and ride for each other, even when things are uncertain. Does it feel a little movie-like? Sure. But this type of movie calls for that. One thing about this movie I like is the concept of becoming a better version of yourself. Finding someone or something that inspires you to do better for yourself is great. I've kind of been in my own personal journey with that. And I do believe that's why this movie resonated with me this time around so much more. Julie becomes a little obsessed with Julia, and we can all see why. She's great, electric, and a total sweetheart. Something that Julie wasn't exactly herself. Julie was driven, she worked hard, and had a curious mind. But people like that can easily get wrapped up in their own world and own thing and come off selfish. Hell, I'm like that sometimes, if we're being honest. I related to Julie a lot. She's the type of person who likes starting something and building it from the ground up. I'm the exact same way. But in that pursuit of learning and goals, we tend to neglect other emotional responsibilities. Julie learns about Julia and seeing the way she was. It helped her overcome some of that, helped her focus, showed her humility, and made her realize some of the faults in her ways, which clearly shows personal growth. It's crazy because, in a weird way, Julie following the footsteps of Julia kind of led to her becoming an influencer with her blog. She had no clue how much reach she really had until it was really relayed to her. And I think the same thing was going on with Julia back in the day. Two women who have lots of insecurities but come off so confident and sure. They both had to overcome tons of obstacles to reach their goals, but they did and grew so much because of it. Movies like these are very inspiring. They offer hope, and even if it all seems too good to be true, it's okay to let your imagination escape with your own fantasies. We all wish life was a fairy tale, and we all have dreams. I personally like seeing people live out theirs. Julia Child single-handedly led to a lot of Julie's success. Direct inspiration can do that, and Julie doesn't realize she inspires so many other people, expanding the art of cooking and people discovering the love for it. My grandmother was a great cook and loved to make all kinds of stuff. I wish she could have seen this movie. I'm pretty sure she was a fan of Julia. This movie is a vibe, a fun, sweet time, something to watch with your girl or your guy. The acting is supreme, it's well written and directed, and honestly, it's a cooking classic. The setting in New York and France is great, and it has such a lovely score. Meryl Streep really brings this movie to life. This would be a nice pairing with like Babette's Feast. Something to just warm up the heart on a sad day. Marlon, thanks for making me rewatch this. I had a fantastic time, and I will be copping this on Blu-ray. I'm going to give Julie and Julia a 9 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Julie and Julia review. Let me know if there is a film or topic you want me to review. If you made it to the end, do me a huge favor. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hype up the video if you got some left. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. I'll be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.